Hey everybody, we just want to do a quick recording and do a little training on web forms. So we get questions quite often about where to access and things like that. And I realized there's not a lot of training available online through CREA or elsewhere. So we just wanted to do a quick recording and have some training available. So when you go to web forms or Realtor link, you can save and bookmark this, or there's a link from within Paragon. It'll get you to the login page. So you log in with your real estate board credentials. And when you've logged yourself in, remember that this is the same platform for web forms that's available across the country. So the logins will be specific to our individual board, etc. So there's two main ways to use web forms. So I think for a lot of people, they may not be aware of these two main ways, and they just like type in here to try to look up purchase contract or things like that, but then it's going to pull up every single purchase contract or anything with that in there, which can be quite confusing. So the one easiest way is to create a transaction kit. So you can call it client name and 123 any street, so that you have it by that property and by that client. You can either create a blank one. You can save templates if you get that sophisticated with it. So you have a listing contract template, a purchase contract template that kind of has everything you need. Generally, we don't include the client's email here. You kind of like have it go to you and first, and so you can see it and preview it before you send it off to them. And secondly, the important one is you can put in either a property address or an MLS number. So if you put in the MLS number here, it's going to populate every form that you need for that client in that property situation from the information that's on the MLS number. So that's a really big step that can create a lot of efficiency and save you a lot of time. So you'll go create transaction kit. And so I've chosen blank in this situation, right? And then I can add forms. So when I go to add a form to the deal and this client, it's going to pop up organization. So I'm choosing Alberta. Again, it's because it's Canada-wide. And then we're a common law brokerage with RE/MAX River City. So I can search through all the common law forms. So they're in alphabetical order grouped. So you've got agricultural forms here, commercial forms, depending on the type, country res, and then residential are down here. So the most common that we do is residential. So we have buyer rep packages. This would be posting without representation, which we don't really do in our brokerage. Residential purchase, seller representation package, and then these are the ones for condominium. So buyer rep for condo, etc. So we'll do a standard buyer rep package for residential. So it's going to give me everything I need. And I can just click the plus sign here and add those forms in. So I can use the discussion guide to have them explaining the buyer rep agreement. If I want that added, I can use consumer relationship guide as the brochure or the printer friendly version. So I prefer that one. I'm going to add that to my forms. And then if you're, just to highlight it here, if you're representing a listing and you have a sign call or someone who's just interested to basically make an offer and they don't want another realtor representing them, it's advised that you put them under customer status, so customer acknowledgement. So in that case, they're basically saying, I don't want representation, but you have to give them the same fiduciary duties you do to any member of the public, and you would provide them with comparables, the same comparables that you used with the listing, and you can assist them with paperwork and things like that, but you cannot provide advice to them. If they want to seek advice, then they need to go hire a realtor. So in the event that you were out working with a buyer and you were actively engaged with them, you'd signed a buyer rep agreement with them before, so we'll do that one as part of the contract as well, and you were out and you showed them a bunch of properties and they happen to like one of your listings, then you could use the agreement to represent both buyer and seller and have them, this one here, agreement to represent both buyer and seller. And in that case, they're acknowledging that you have a conflict and that you're representing both parties. You will act fairly, and in the event that there's multiple offers, you can bring me in as the broker to present those offers to the seller. But once it's negotiated, you can kind of continue on with representing both sides. But those are the two main ways to do that. So again, referral fee consent forms, non-exclusive buyer rep agreement, which I don't recommend using, but some people do, and fee disclosure forms. Everything else you need is right in here. So that's where you can keep yourself nicely organized. In this case, I'll just press done for now. So it's going to populate it back out with all of the contracts that I have related to this client and that information, and away I go. Now, one of the benefits of Reprieve, to my understanding, is it connects in with WEBForms easily. So you can then directly, right from here, send your electronic signatures out to your client. We've talked about it before, but as a matter of best practice, you should review the documents with your client over the phone, not just send them to them to sign, because if they don't read it, they're just clicking through the electronic signature. It hasn't been, there's no precedent in court yet, but I anticipate that there may be in the future. So it's just a good risk mitigation strategy to make sure you're kind of like reviewing the contract with them over the phone if you're not meeting in person. So in this case, you can then download all of those forms once you've edited them appropriately. You can download read-only or editable. I like editable, and you can save them into your client folder and in your Dropbox folder or on your computer in your client file system. And then from there, you can send them off to everybody that you need to send them off to. So that's transaction kits. So the other way that you can use WEBForms is through printable forms. So this, I'll go back to the start menu, and you can just go to printable forms. So say you just need one form, you can try to search it here, but I find people get confused a lot with that. So you're going to choose your organization, Alberta, and then it's nicely organized by category. So if it's a residential, purchase transaction, buyer rep, posting without purchase, seller rep. So those are your main ones you're going to use. And then down the bottom is all of the FinTrack forms. So everything's nicely organized there. If you access it this way, you can only, it's only going to show you things that are relevant to, that agency situation. So in the environment that you have a listing in this example, there's the discussion guide, there's the agreement to rep buyer and seller again. So same forms as on the buy side are put into these respective kind of grouped categories so that you can pull up everything that you need as it relates to that type of agency and that type of transaction. So hopefully that helps answer some of that, and let us know if you have any questions, or feel free to add comments below in the video. We'll host this on our YouTube training channel and have it available for everybody's use.